Hey guys, Min here from MHKDesigns. I'm going to start something new from now on. Instead of sharing a free panel, I'm actually going to try and share a technique of how you can use the MHKDesigns digital products, to create easy one-layer printable cards that have that same layered look that you would get on a card that you printed and then cut and layered. So today I'm going to show you how I got this panel, how I put this together using the sunflower sampler papers and the stitched sunflower stamp set. And it's really easy. And then once you know how to do this, you can do this with any papers and any stamps. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to move this. I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to move it so that I can still see it for reference down here. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start with your blank canvas. And this is 5.5 inches across and 4.25 inches top to bottom. And I'm doing that so that I can actually print two on a piece of paper and have an easy one-layer card that I can just cut out as soon as I'm done. Now the first thing that I did here in my example panel, sorry about that, is I started by creating these blocked out layers. So what I did was I went over here and I selected my shape and I made sure that it was this rectangle. And I'm actually going to want to start with a black rectangle. And I just kind of eyeballed, and I'm not even sure if this is going to be exactly the same as the one from before. I eyeballed where I wanted my first black rectangle. I'm going to move that up just a little bit. And then I added a new layer so that I could do, and I think I need to make this bigger. Yeah, I thought so. Another black rectangle. Select my rectangle again. Over here for the sentiment. And the cool thing about these shapes is, once they're not selected, they just look like they're these black pieces, okay? After you have your black, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add another layer that's going to go on top. Select your rectangle again and make that white this time. And you'll create a rectangle that's just a little bit smaller than this black rectangle you created over here. So you can do it this way. Sorry about that. Or, so I'm going to make it go like this, and then I can reposition it. That's one way to do it. And then I can come over here and add one in over here. So that's one way to do it. The other way would be to simply select this shape, right click, and hit duplicate layer, and it'll say, what do you want to call it? You can just hit OK. And then you can reshape that one to the size you want it and make it the right color. If I bring this up, you'll see that it's black. So two different ways. I like doing it the way that I just showed you, but duplicating works as well. And like I said, you're just kind of eyeballing it. If you wanted this black layer to be thinner, you can make this bigger, okay, and then center it. It's all up to you as to how much of a matted look you want behind your white pieces. So I'm just going to keep messing with this till I really super like it. And I like that. I think that looks great. So here you can see I have my layout here and here with my sentiment, okay? Now what I'm going to show you is how I filled in with my 3 pattern papers. And to do that, you have to go back over here to your layers, go all the way down to your layer 1 or your background. And what you're going to do is you're going to open up, I'm going to make these smaller for a second, open up the paper that you want. So right now, this is the Sunflower Sampler Polka Dot Lime. And I'm just going to pull that into over here. And you'll see that it fills in that whole background, which is fine because I want my polka dots to be this big. You could sit here and you could play with it. I'm using my arrows right now, my up and down arrows to move this to where I like the placement of the polka dots over here. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here to layers, add another new layer, drag those browns and pull those over. Now, you can see that they're on top of the green, and I just made this bigger so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm dragging these brown dots down until I can see the outline of where the papers are. And then I'm just going to move them to where it's filling in only this section down here, okay? So I've got my green that's way behind, I've got my brown dot now, and now I'm going to come over here and do another new layer and pull my yellow chevrons over and do the exact same thing. Just pull it up and over until I can see those guidelines, and I can move it to where I want it to be, to where it's not overlapping my green or my brown. And so now I've got my yellow up here, which I'm going to move just a little bit with my arrows. There we go. I like it. So I've got my green that I did first, my brown that I added and then moved this way to get it down over here only, and then my yellow chevron, which I moved this way to get over here. And like I said, you have to make each one its own new layer. Okay. After you do that, you're going to go back and click your top layer, and you're going to add in your image and your sentiment, okay? So here I have my image that I'm going to drag over, and as you can see, it's going to need to be resized. So again, just pull and drag that till you find this. Always hit shift before you start, and hold shift before you start resizing digital stamps. So I'm holding shift as I'm resizing it because it will retain the ratio aspect. It won't like get too fat, or do you know what I'm saying? So it won't be like this. It won't go too fat or too thin because the ratio is off. It'll stay true to what the original was. And I can see that this is obviously not exactly the same as my other one. Oh, and I think that I might have rotated the image just a little bit so that it fit into my space a little bit better. I left area up here because, as you'll see on my blog post with this card, I added some burlap ribbon up here because it's nice to have a one layer card that you can print out, but it's also nice to embellish it a little bit. So this card you'll see colored, the image will be colored in with some ribbon added. And now I just need to add my sentiment. Same thing, just pull and drag over. And like I said, it's going to need to be resized. So I'm holding shift down as I resize it, clicking my OK error because it's where I want it. It's not exactly like this one over here, but it's pretty similar, and that kind of gives you a good idea of how to create what I am calling a faux quilted background using digital papers. If you have any questions or feedback for me, please enter that information in the comments below. I'll try to get on here and check and see what questions you might have. Hopefully this will be easily reproducible for you, and I cannot wait to see your faux digital quilted backgrounds in our challenge gallery this month at MHK Designs. Until next time, friends, hugs and happy stamping!